everybody, welcome to Crafty and New. In today's video, we're all about the 4th of July. I'm making a 3-tier tray decorated with 4th of July decor, so you're not going to want to miss it. Today's video is the first video in the series 4th of July, in which I'm making 4th of July decor for every room of the house. So if you don't want to miss it, be sure to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll be notified of all my future uploads. And give this a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whichever you prefer. But, you know, I kind of prefer a thumbs up. So, anyways, you're really going to enjoy this series and you're going to enjoy today's video. So, can't wait to have you all on board. And let's get to crafting. Is one of these dustpans from Dollar Tree that have the handle on them, and then Waverly chalk paint in white, and then I have Waverly wax, and then Waverly antique wax, 3 burner covers from the Dollar Tree, some paint brushes, E6000, hot glue, and these book rings from the Dollar Tree, made from Jot. Or made by Jot. And then a handsaw and a miter box. Or you can just caulk it. With Waverly chalk paint in white. And I'm going to paint all the burner covers. Inside, outside, and the edges. And you're going to want to give them a good thick coat to cover up the picture that's on them. Now you want to paint the inside or the bottom of them. Make sure you get inside the circle and on the edges. Now, once you have all 3 of those stovetop covers painted with 2 coats of paint, you're going to take apart the dustpan. And what I'm doing is I'm just measuring it from the bottom to the top so that I can get an even half, so that I have 2 even poles. Now I'm not measuring, if you notice, I'm not measuring it up to the very top. I'm just measuring it to where the little handle fits over the pole. And it easily just pops off. The little handle there pops right out. The dustpan pops right out. And now I'm going to take my miter saw and I'm going to cut that in half. And these are actually pretty easy to cut through, and they're small poles. And then I just snap it in half once I cut through. And then that was just a little bottom piece that was in the dustpan. We won't need that. We're going to set that to the side. So now you should have 3 pieces here. You should have the pole, which is cut into half. And you can see I got an uneven cut, and I realized that after I cut it. So I don't know how that happened. So I'm going to make me a line so I can cut off the tip there so that I have 2 perfectly even poles. Even I can make a mistake, you know. Like I said, this pole's easy to cut through. And I bought this for because I couldn't find any of the thick dowel rods, and my Dollar Tree was out of the plungers, so I couldn't use the wooden dowels that was on the plunger. So I seen these dustpans sitting there where the plungers are, and I thought this would be perfect, and I actually like the texture. And I just thought it would be perfect for the tier tray. So there's your 3 pieces, and then once you got all those cut, you're going to want to give them 2 coats of your Waverly chalk paint. And I'm using the color white, but you can use whatever color you prefer. And it actually fits in those grooves really good if you use a sponge. I noticed it's easier to use a sponge than it is to use the paintbrush. And this is easy to paint if you just put your finger into the holes. And then once you have all 3 pieces painted, you're going to take your book ring and you're going to paint that white also. And I found it easier to paint these just dabbing the paint on instead of trying to paint it on. I'm going to dab it and just smooth it out a little. And then once you got that painted, you're going to let that dry. And then you're going to take your 2 halves of the pole that we cut in half, and you're going to put some E6000 and some hot glue on there, and you're going to attach it to one of the bigger burner covers. Which you'll notice that for some reason I lost the video, but I attached this pole to the cover before I did the second burner cover, the second larger one. And I did the same thing, used some hot glue and some E6000. And then for the top of my tier tray, I want the smaller burner cover, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to put the glue and the E6000 onto my cover, and then put the rest of the tier tray on top of that, upside down. If that makes sense. I'm making this way more confusing than probably what it needs to be, but you all know how to glue stuff together. So there it is. There's my smaller cover on top, and then my 2 larger ones on the bottom. And then I'm going to take the book ring that I painted. I'm just going to insert that into the hole that was the handle of the dustpan, so that it looks like there's a ring there. And then I'm just going to use my hot glue and some E6000, and I'm going to put that in the middle of the top tier. And then once that's all dry, I'm going to take my Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm just going to dry brush some wax all over it to kind of give it that weathered look, or as everybody in farmhouse decor likes to call it, the distressed look. And then you're just going to do that to the pole and to all the trays. And there you have it. There's our 3-tier tray, all distressed and ready to be decorated. So for our first project, we are going to make some red, white, and blue stars. You'll need 5 jumbo popsicle sticks and then 10 of your regular popsicle sticks for this craft. And then you're going to need some white paint, some red paint, and some blue paint, which I'm just using crafting paint. And then I'm going to decorate these with little stars. So what I didn't get video of, I don't know where it went to, again, I painted my 5 jumbo sticks blue, and then my 10 regular craft sticks, I painted 5 red and 5 white. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to glue these together in the shape of a star. So I'm going to start out by using some hot glue, and I'm going to make the shape of an A or an upside down V, however you want to look at it. And then I'm going to take another craft stick and I'm going to go up from the bottom of the left side of one up to the middle of the other one. If that makes sense. You can see what I'm doing. I'm making a backwards 4, basically. I don't want to explain this too much and make it more complicated than what it needs to be. And then I'm taking my 4th craft stick and I'm attaching it to the other side of the A and making the same shape as I did the 3rd craft stick. And then the 5th one, I'm just going to go across those 2 and glue them end to end. As you can see, the star's taking shape. You could actually make this star in several different ways. This is just you'll see another way I do it after I make this one, because I didn't want all the stars to look perfect and I didn't want them uniform, because I wanted them to look rustic and farmhouse. So, you know, if anybody is familiar with farmhouse decor and you've done it before, it's not perfect. So there's one of my stars. That was made out of the oh my gosh, really? I'm forgetting everything. That was made out of the normal size craft sticks. So now I'm starting on the white one, and again, you just make your A shape using hot glue. And now I think this one I do take it across like an A, yeah. So this one I'm making it different, and I'm just taking this craft stick and going across and making the actual letter A. So see, now you can see there's several different ways you can make these stars. It's just whatever you find easier to do. And then I'm going from end to end again. Just want to make a crisscross pattern. Once you get your A shape made, just crisscross them from end to end. I think it's just better for you to watch than it is for me to try to explain, because then that's when it gets complicated and I confuse everybody. So now with the jumbo sticks that I painted blue, I'm gonna make a larger star, and I'm kind of making this one a little crooked, just because I don't want this one to be perfect. So this one's gonna be a wider A. It's like I said, it's your preference. You can do however you want to do it. I'm just showing you like how to get the general shape of the star. And again, this one I'm just going to glue this one across so I can get my actual A, the letter A. Which honestly, I kind of wish that I hadn't had those so far out, so far wide, because this was a little harder to get the shape I was going for, but it still worked out. I still loved the way it turned out, so maybe when you glue the jumbos, just don't put them so far apart. But it gave me a bigger, wider star, and it wasn't a perfect star, so I'm never one for perfection when it comes to farmhouse decor. Especially if you're doing rustic, none of that's perfect. That's kind of like what I do. That's what I like doing the most. I do some modern farmhouse, but I don't know. So as you can see, that one's quite bigger. And then those little stars, I actually painted white, which again, I don't know where the footage of me painting the stars went, but I painted the little stars white, and I'm just going to add them to like the
I just want it to look kind of like a flag. So I'm just going to add them to the ends of my star, and then I add one in the middle. And then you're just going to hot glue those down. And you can do this any pattern you want. I almost filled up the whole thing with stars, but that was a lot of stars to paint, so I just ended up using 6. And then I got those from Amazon, so I'll link those in the description box below. I'll give the link out. It came in like a whole bag. I think it was like 1,000 of these little stars, different shapes, and different sizes. But this was the biggest. Got to measure the height. Because, I didn't bring a pencil to this game, so I didn't bring a pencil to the show here. So I'm just eyeballing it. And then I'm just going to put Mod Podge all over the paper. Okay, so once you got your paper on Mod Podge, you're just going to wrap your paper around your candle. You want to make sure it's nice and tight and stuck on there, no wrinkles. And then I'm going to fold the top in so that I can just sandpaper the top off so that it has a nice flush top. I find this method easier to do than scissors because then it looks like it's actually just the candle. Of course, you want to wait and do this after the Mod Podge dries. I didn't wait. The Mod Podge was still wet, so it was a little harder than what it should have been, but I'm impatient. But I don't do as I do as I say. And there it is. There's our red, white, and blue candle. Now project number 3 for our 3-tier tray is a red, white, and blue block flag. And what I'm doing is I'm using some of those stacking pieces that you can get from the Dollar Tree that I had already painted and used on another craft. So that's why they look brown. And then I'm just using some ribbon I got from Hobby Lobby and Waverly chalk paint in white and crimson, and then folk art paint in nautical blue. And then I'm using my glue gun, and then of course you're going to need some paintbrushes. You're going to need 8 blocks for this first block we're going to do. So you're going to do 4 rows of 2 blocks, and you're going to just stack them on top of each other. And then here I am, I'm just stacking them on top and just hot gluing them down to each other. And like I said, they're brown because I'd used these for another craft, so I'm just recycling these. So once you have your 4 rows of 2, so you have your bigger block made now, I'm just going to paint it with that folk art nautical blue paint. And I'm going to give it 2 good coats because I have to cover up the stain that I'd used on these blocks for the other project. So, which I actually kind of like the way it turned out because it turned out like a darker blue on top of that. So it looked a little more rustic, like it was worn. So yeah, I really like the way it turned out. And I'm just doing the front and sides that you're going to see. I mean, you can do the back, but the way I'm going to have it on the tier tray, nobody's really going to see that. Or you could even paint the blocks before you glue them together, which is kind of what I wish I'd done because I think it would have turned out better. But, you know, 2020 is hindsight, so. Now once you have that painted blue, I'm taking the other 8 blocks and I'm going to stack them up the same way, side by side, attached to the bigger block we made. So you can see right there, I'm just stacking them, you know, in 2s. 2 wide, 4 high. And I started out on this one because I thought I was wanting the block with the star higher than these. So with the block, I used a total of 8 of the Jenga pieces, of the tower tumbling pieces, whatever you want to call those. It doesn't matter. It's from the Dollar Tree. But so anyway, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, okay. So yeah, I was only going to use 6 of these because I didn't want this part of the flag to be higher. But then I decided it didn't look right, so I ended up using 8. So you're going to need a total of 16 towering tumbling blocks for this project, which I guess I should have told you that at the beginning. But and again, I kind of wish I'd painted these before I put it all together because I think it would have been easier. Because I run into a problem, which you can't really pick it up on camera, but my white kind of mixed in with my red paint, so on one of the stripes I painted on this, it kind of came out pink, so I had to actually go back over it so that it didn't look like it had pink and white stripes. So yeah, definitely paint these before you glue them together. I find it would be much easier to do. Like I said, I'm just doing the front and the sides. I'm not worrying about the back. And I'm going to alternate white, red, because I want this to be the stripes. And again, for some reason, I used a stencil and I stenciled a star onto the blue part of this, and all that footage was on something different, so I lost all of that and I don't know where it went. It's probably floating around in the clouds somewhere, but I don't have the patience to go looking for it. So yeah, I just used a stencil to get the star on there once the paint dried. And you can put like little stars on there, or I just wanted one big star. And I'm just going in with my red, trying not to get it on the blue because I didn't paint it before I put it together, which would have been a lot easier. But, you know, why would I do anything easy? Yeah, here's where I got some of the red on my white paintbrush and then had to wipe it off, and then it was just a big mess. Now the 2 top ones, I'm going to paint the top and the sides, and I'm painting it white because I didn't want to do the red contrasting with the blue, and I think I ended up stopping at the red anyway. Yeah. So it had to have been white. I just wanted to make something small to fill in the tier tray. Now once I get that all painted, I'm going to take the ribbon that I bought from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to cut off a small piece of it, and then I'm actually going to cut that in half down the middle, because I don't need it that wide. So yeah, I'm just cutting it straight down the middle. And I'm just going to wrap that around the decor piece right there where the two different blocks meet each other to kind of hide that seam. And I'm just going to hot glue that down. I thought this was a cute addition, plus it hides the hot glue in the seams. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut me off another little piece of ribbon, and I'm going to make one of my little tiny bows, and I'm going to attach that to the top. Again, that footage was on something else, so I didn't get the little bow I made. But it's just your typical, you fold it in half a couple times, and you fan it out like you do a bow. I'll make a video on how I make my bows. It's just your typical bow. I think I folded it twice because it's just a tiny, and I just used the other half of I used the other half when I cut that down the middle. And then I used a piece of jute twine to tie it, and now I'm just kind of fanning it out. Just a little miniature bow. And then I'm just going to hot glue that on the top. Yeah, this one was hard because it was so tiny. I was having such a hard time trying to fan it out the way I wanted it. It was fun though. I don't mind it. Yeah, see there you can see the stencils I used to paint the star onto the blocks. I got those from the Dollar Tree also. Everything on, well no, I can't say everything because I bought the ribbon from Hobby Lobby. So I take it back. I'm just going to glue that on top. There it is. Beautiful. Now for project number 4, we're going to do blue firework shell. Easy peasy. Gonna need a dice from the Dollar Tree. Comes one of those toy dice. And then I've got some nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. Some folk art home decor chalk paint in nautical. And then Mod Podge. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the nautical paint and I'm going to paint the die. And this is going to require 2 heavy coats to cover up the white. What do you call those on dye? White pegs? I don't know. We'll need to look that up. Pegs? Help me out. Leave it in the comment section below what they're called. I used to know what they were called. And I'm not painting the bottom because you're not going to see it. Like I said, these are all just temporary projects. They're for my 4th of July tier tray that we just made. So I didn't bother painting the bottom. And then once you give that 2 good coats, you're going to let that dry. And now I'm going to take the Mod Podge and I want to stiffen up this nautical rope. So I'm just going to put the Mod Podge on. I think I measured out, it was probably about 5 inches, if that, of the rope. Which I didn't end up using all of it, but I want to get it nice and stiff because I want this to stand straight up. And then I'm just going to cut it to the length I want. I think I went from 5 inches to 3 inches because 5 inches was just too long for this. And I don't know if you're familiar with the toy dice that you can get from Dollar Tree, but they're not very big. And then I'm just going to hot glue that on top of the die. This was an easy peasy craft. Again, it's just a filler for the tier tray. There you have it. There's my firework shell. Now for project number 5, we're doing a red, white, and blue star shadow box. So I'm using one of these Dollar Tree boxes with the roosters on them. These were so cute, I bought a bunch of these. Some Mod Podge, scissors of course, because you're going to use scrap paper, and the scrap paper I got from Hobby Lobby. Then paint brushes, and then my Waverly chalk paint crimson. And then my folk art paint in nautical blue. And then my Waverly chalk paint in white. You're also going to need one of these puzzles, wooden puzzles from the toy section from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to tear that rooster off this box because we don't need it. It won't fit in. Not with our Patriotic tier tray. And then I'm just going to cut some scrapbook paper out to fit inside this shadow box. I call it a shadow box. I thought this scrap paper was so cute. I love Hobby Lobby's holiday scrap paper. They have some of the cutest. Of course, every time I go, I always have to stock up. Because you just never know when you might need it. And I have so much scrap paper right now, it's ridiculous. And I'm going to use it all. Every single sheet of it. Guarantee it. Then I'm just measuring it out and creasing it to see where I need to cut it so it'll fit perfectly as the background of the box. And I'm just going to Mod Podge it in there. Like I said, I don't want any of this stuff to be permanent because I may recycle and use it again. So. And then you can put this if you want the stripes going up and down or sideways, however you prefer. So once you got your scrapbook paper covered in Mod Podge, you're just going to fit that down in there to cover up the original saying of your shadow box. Smooth out any wrinkles, get the corners. And then we're going to set that to the side, and we're just going to take out the 3 stars that's in this wooden puzzle. Because I love the shape of these and the thickness, so that's why I'm using this. And don't worry, the other stuff will be used in later DIYs. And then I'm just going to paint these stars, 1 red, 1 white, and 1 blue. I like the nautical blue because it just seems like it's more rustic. I don't know. It seems like I don't like the real bright blues. And you're going to give each one of these stars 2 coats of paint. So once you give each of these stars 2 coats of paint, we're going to put some hot glue on the back, and we're just going to arrange them in the shadow box. You can put them any way you like. The way I did it, I found they fit easier in the box. And I just glued them on top of, like, I put the red one down and then glued the blue one down on top of the red, and then the white on the other side of the red. And there you have it. There's our red, white, and blue star shadow box. Now for our project 6, we're making red, white, and blue beaded garland. You'll need 7 beads for each color of plate paint. So I'm using Folk Art Blue, Waverly Red, Waverly White. Then I'm using an embroidery needle so that I can thread the beads onto my jute twine. Oh, and the cups. You'll also need the cups. So, I'm doing the lazy man's way of painting my beads. I hate using skewers, hate getting my hands dirty, don't like spray painting them because you can't get the insides. So what I found is I'll take a little cup and I'll put just a little dab of paint in there, and then I shake them up. And you're just going to keep shaking until they're all coated with paint. Like I said, this little technique I learned, or actually I came up with, I don't think I've ever seen anybody do it. I noticed it gets like the holes of the beads and it paints a bunch of beads at once without getting my hands messy. And then what I do is I'll dump them out and I'll blot them on the paper towel so that there's no excess paint on them, and then I just let them dry. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the white and the red. And these beads I also purchased off Amazon. There's different sizes. I'm using not the largest size, but the medium size and the small size. I'll have to look it up and then I'll post it down in the description box to let you know. And then the same thing with the red. I'm taking 3 of my small beads and 3 of the medium sized beads, putting them in the cup with a little dab of paint, cover it with a paper towel, and we're going to shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. And then I'm just going to pour them out and blot them with a paper towel. Same thing, using Waverly chalk paint and white. Pour just a little dab in your cup. Plus, doing this, I found I don't waste as much paint trying to paint them or trying to spray paint them, getting my hands all dirty, losing paint. You just need just a little bit of this, then shake them up, and I've got all 6 beads painted in 5 seconds. I do this whenever I work with beads or the towering tumbling blocks from the Dollar Tree. I'll use this technique also. And I've never had any problems. I love the way it turns out. And then I'm going to make a tassel. I want 2 tassels, which I've already made 1 tassel and have it set to the side, but I wasn't all the way on camera. So the second tassel I'm making, I'm just wrapping it around my 4 fingers 20 times. The jute twine. And then I'm going to make a little loop at the top. Pinch it together and make that little loop. And then I'm going to tie that loop off with some more jute twine. That's going to be the top of the tassel. I just put it through the loop with my fingers, but I think if I would have used the embroidery needle, it would have been easier. So you can also use the embroidery needle for this too. That way you can find the where the loop's actually at, so you don't miss any of the pieces of jute twine. And then I'm just going to tie that into a knot so that you have the top of your tassel. And then I'm going to take scissors and I'm going to cut the bottom of the tassel to fray it out. And I'm using jute twine for this because, again, I want the rustic look, so it's not going to be perfectly straight or smooth. It's going to be have it. You know how jute twine is. It's got all those little pieces hanging from them. That's what I wanted. And then here, I'm just going to cut right down in the middle of the bottom loop. And there's all my fringes of my tassel. I'm just going to cut them to even them out. I do want them kind of the same length, so just giving them a little trim. And then I'm going to start beading I'm going to cut that off from my, I'm going to cut that off from that, yep, from there, from my roll of jute twine. And then I'm going to attach my embroidery needle, and I'm going to start threading my beads by alternating. I'm going to do a large blue, and then a small, what would I start out with here? Because I wanted it large, small, large, small. So I'm going to start out with a large red. Take it all the way down to my tassel. And then I'm going to small white, which means my next one will be a large blue. And I'm just going to alternate those until I get all of my beads on there. What I'm doing here is I'm taking that other tassel that I'd made before I made the second tassel, and I'm just tying it onto my garland so that, you know, I have tassels on each end. Plus it helps secure the beads in place on that end where I cut the twine. Red, white, and blue beaded garland. So for project number 7, another easy peasy project, my freedom plaque. A piece of scrapbooking paper from Hobby Lobby, a wooden plaque from Dollar Tree, and I've got, these are mailbox stickers that I got from the like hardware department at Walmart. Paintbrush, antique wax, Mod Podge, sponge for the Mod Podge, scissors, and then my ruler and sandpaper. So I'm just going to measure out the plaque on my Hobby Lobby scrap paper. Hey, looky there, I have a pencil, or actually a pen now. No more eyeballing. And then you're just going to cut that out once you get your pattern. And then you're just going to Mod Podge that onto your plaque. I'm just seeing if it fits, and then I'm going to apply a lot of Mod Podge on the back of this. And you can see I got too much Mod Podge, so instead of wasting it, I'm scooping it up and putting it back in there. But who would have thought that I actually needed all of that towards the end? So you'll see me dip back down into my Mod Podge and put it back on my plaque. But, you know, it looked like it was too much, but apparently it wasn't. And I'm just going to coat the plaque really good with it. And then once you got it covered in Mod Podge, you're just going to take your scrapbook paper and you're going to put it on your plaque. And then again, I'm just using the sandpaper to get that, you know, flawless finish. Get those edges look like they're just part of the plaque. And then once I have that done, I'm going to go over the edges with my antique wax so that it looks aged. And I'm just going to dry brush. And you'll notice with my antique wax, I also use my fingers. It just seems like it gives it more of a, I don't know, an aged look. So I'll use a little bit of my paintbrush and then I'll take my fingers to wipe it off instead of a paper towel. I don't know why, I just do. And now once I got that all distressed, I'm going to get out my stickers and I'm going to spell the word freedom. And I'm going to put them on the ruler just so I can get the so I can get them straight and the same height and everything so they don't look all crooked. Then what I go by is I take the bottom of the letter and I take it to the bottom of the little inches. Oh, how do you explain it? Like I take the bottom of the letter to the bottom of the inch line. Is that how you explain it? So that I know they're all straight and evened at the bottom and at the top. Did I explain that good enough? Hope so. Anyway, freedom is what I'm going to put on this plaque. Hence the name Freedom Plaque. Creative, I know. And then you're just gonna, once you get all these on your ruler and get them spaced out the way you want them, you're just going to line it up with your plaque, and then you're going to just slide the ruler out from underneath the letters, which you'll see here in just a second. So there's all my letters on my ruler, and now I'm just going to line it up on my paper. I'm just going to barely put the letters on there, lift up my ruler, and slide off all the letters. Oops, nope, not yet. Gotta get it on there even better. And out you come. And there you have it. There's my Freedom Plaque. For Project 8, I Pledge Allegiance sign. I'm just taking a photo frame and this printable. I'll list it down below on the website. I can't remember the website right off the bat where I got it, but it's just it has the entire Pledge of Allegiance on it, and I'm just cutting it to fit my frame. Just cutting the edges and the bottom to fit. And I'm not putting it in the frame because it was still too big for the frame I had. So I'm just going to glue this on top of the frame. Since it's just temporary, it's only going to be out till after the 4th. So I'm just adding some hot glue down into the edges of the top of the frame. And then once I have my hot glue set in there, I'm just going to set the picture on top. If that makes any sense. It's not actually in the frame, it's just going to be on top of the frame. Just like that. And then I'm just putting the back of the frame back on, just so that so that at least it's not just glued onto there. At least there's a backing to it, makes it a little more stable. So like I said, it's only going to be on my 3-tier tray until after the 4th. And then here's the entire tray completely finished with all of our little decor pieces. And I added some red, white, and blue flowers from the Dollar Tree as an accent. There's the beaded garland hanging over the top tray, my stars, my candle, my firework, my freedom plaque. Now the USA blocks, I just threw in there. I made them real quick. I don't have a tutorial for that. But it's just these big block pieces I had from Amazon. I painted them red, white, and blue and put USA on there because I just thought they needed something more. So if you like this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment down below on what your favorite decor piece was. And I want to wish everybody a very patriotic 4th of July. And just remember those who put their lives on the line for us every day to keep us free. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week and keep on crafting.